While not as seemingly dangerous as some countries, it's North Korea's own government that presents the major threat in this case. Since separating from South Korea, North Korea has drifted away from its communist roots toward a more oppressive totalitarian dictatorship. The country is infamous for denying its citizens of the most basic human rights, freedoms, and civil liberties, and every aspect of daily life is controlled by the governing bodies. Amnesty International claims that detention, torture, and execution are used at will to ensure the population's loyalty to the state. Pakistan has been contested ground ever since it gained its independence in the 20th century. Military occupation is constant due to the threat of the Taliban and other terrorist groups, the Kashmir conflict, alongside other regional and factional disputes. A historically unstable political system is also to blame. Multiple military coups have been necessary to restore order in the past. Pakistan also suffers from several other significant problems, such as overpopulation, poverty, and political corruption. Congo is a country rich with some of the world's most valuable resources, including cobalt, uranium, gold, diamonds, and oil, among others. But this is more of a hindrance than a commodity. Because of the land's wealth, the Democratic Republic of Congo has always been fought over. But since the Congolese Civil War started in 1997, 9 different African nations, several rebel groups, and UN forces have been at arms. It's believed up to 5 million people may have died as a result of the wars so far, with no permanent end in sight. Since General Francis Bozizé took the nation's capital in the 2003 Bush War, the Central African Republic has been locked in civil and religious war. The next 10 years resulted in countless casualties and deaths, until the United Nations finally became involved when Bozizé was indicted for crimes against humanity and incitement of genocide. Most rebel factions have agreed to cease fire multiple times, yet reports of ethnic and religious cleansing originating from the Central African Republic still remain. Most of Sudan's various regions are at civil war due to various rebel groups and religious unrest. Over 500,000 deaths have been reported as a result of the Somalian civil war, most of which were civilian. While it's been said that the civil war ended in 2006 when the country formed a permanent government, pockets of resistance still exist throughout the country. Several attempts at amnesty and ceasefire have been attempted, but more than 2 decades later and no end to the fighting seems near. Since 1990, Iraq has been the stage of multiple wars, which have resulted in almost countless deaths and evacuated citizens over the past 2.5 decades. Most recently, the ongoing Islamic dispute between the Sunni and Shia faiths continues to divide the nation culturally, especially due to their shared border with Syria. By the end of South Sudan's first year as an independent country, racial hatred and conflict between the Nuer White and Merle tribes have reached a boiling point. The dispute happened mainly due to land disputes and cattle raiding, but it may eventually end in genocide. Another huge concern in South Sudan is the recruitment of child soldiers. Allegedly, up to 9,000 children participated in the Sudanese Civil War. In response to the devastating 9/11 attacks, Afghanistan was occupied by U.S. forces in a bid to oust Taliban operations and any possibility of another terrorist threat. While the death of Osama bin Laden eventually led to the end of the war, in the aftermath, Pakistani Islamic insurgents assassinated several prominent Afghan figures and civilians. Recently, Afghanistan has begun to cool as a hostile territory now that the war has officially ended and U.S. forces have withdrawn. Syria stands as the world's currently most dangerous country due to the Syrian civil war. In short, the uprising was a result of building tensions in the Arab world, often referred to as the Arab Spring, which culminated in riots, demonstrations, and civil wars throughout the Islamic world. Countless rebel groups, religious factions, and government bodies are still at war over the district, with the death toll already above 250,000.